Well, once again, it was a losing season for the Rutgers football program, their third in a row. But things weren't always this bad for Rutgers football in recent times, even in the Big Ten. Rutgers joined the league just 4 years ago, and that year they won 8 games, including a bowl game. Respectable. But problems would soon happen after that for the guys from New Brunswick, New Jersey. Talking about their, at that time, head coach Kyle Flood, alleged misconduct, and then a few of the Rutgers players. Felony criminal charges. Ouch. And on the field, not a whole lot better. After winning 8 games in 2014, the next 2 seasons, they only won a total of 6 games. So Kyle Flood out, Chris Ash in. The former Ohio State defensive coordinator, I'll give him credit. Last season, Rutgers did improve on that win total from 2 to 4, and they did not finish dead last in the Big Ten East. Maybe the toughest division of college football. So some, signs of optimism right there, some signs of hope. Will they continue to have that entering this season and do even better than 4 wins? I don't see it happening. I just don't. Even though I know they're making some changes, I just think Rutgers is going to be behind the rest of the Big Ten East. Offensively, that's the scary part. It's not going to be all that great. Last year, only 18 points per game. Second worst offense in the country in total O. Only 262 total yards per game. I'm shocked that they even won as many as 4 games when you consider the difficulties of the offense. So what they have to do is they have to be two-dimensional. Last year's offense under offensive coordinator Jerry Kill was just too conservative. They barely threw the ball, and when they did, not a lot of great things happened. So maybe you do need to change things up a little bit. You hope the best health-wise for Jerry Kill. He had to resign because of health concerns. You bring in a guy, though, in John McNulty, who knows what it's like to coach at Rutgers, and, of course, in the NFL with several teams. Now, just 10 years ago, McNulty was at Rutgers as offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. He'll assume those same roles this season, and they really have to get the quarterback more involved throwing, and they got to get the receivers on the same page. So even though I know Giovanni Resenjo did play some last year, you don't have Kyle Bolin back. I'm not sure if Resenjo is going to be the starter. He only completed barely over 50% of his passes a year ago. They could go with Artur Sinkowski, the true freshman out of IMG Academy. Very strong arm, 6 feet 5 inches tall. I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Ash threw Sinkowski right into the fire early on with that season opener against Texas State. So I do think the offense will at least try to make the passing game a little more a part of the game and maybe be a little bit more creative. Now, the running game was the bulk of last year's team, but not only will you miss Gus Edwards, who touched the ball 164 times, but Robert Martin, who touched it almost 100 times for a combined 263 carries for the twosome. Your third leading carrier, Raheem Blackshear, only touched the ball 39 times, and he could be your primary guy. At least they'll get help, though, from graduate transfer Jonathan Hilleman. This could be Rutgers' version of Thunder and Lightning when it comes to the backfield in Blackshear and Hilleman. The receivers, like I said, not a lot of production. In fact, your leading receiver, who you do have back in Jerome Washington, only caught 28 passes a year ago. That tells you the state of passing for the Scarlett Knights. They were 6th worst last year in passing, only 115 yards per game. We'll see if Hunter Hayek, the small receiver, and Bo Melton can be a part of that passing attack. If you're looking for an NFL-type player on this team, look no further than the left tackle. That's Tyreek Cole, 6 feet 6 inches tall, 320 pounds. He's a good one. Defensively, I'm not going to rip Rutgers too much because I really thought that the back 7, the linebackers and the secondary, did all they could. And the good news is the linebackers not only get back 2 of their best in Trevor Morris with 118 tackles and Deontay Roberts with 96 tackles, but you also get back an outside linebacker that you didn't have last year, but you had the year before. He was injured last year because of the knee, talking about Tyreek Maddox-Williams. So they're going to be solidified in linebackers. Secondary, not too bad either, with Blesson Austin at the corner and the free safety Saquon Hamilton, both guys with playing experience coming back. But the defensive line was as soft as a pillow last year for Rutgers. Not only did they only have 16 sacks, which Maryland had, by the way, as well, but Rutgers only had 50 tackles last year behind the line of scrimmage. That will not do it. So we'll see if the defensive end Kevin Wilkins can have a better year and if the defensive tackle in John Badeke can make an impact. The schedule for Rutgers, I'm focusing on the 5 games that I think that are the most winnable. Not that I think it's impossible for Rutgers to get the 6 wins in a bowl bid, but I think it will be very difficult, especially playing in the Big Ten East. Let's start with Texas State. You don't win that one, you probably are not going to win a game all year long. That's the easiest game of the 12 on the schedule. Not going to have a difficult time buying tickets for this one. It's at Kansas. The dreadful Jayhawks. This game, I promise you, will not break any TV Nielsen ratings records, except for maybe lowest rated game. And then Buffalo the following week, a shot at the win, and even a legitimate shot at beating Indiana in late September. And then the easiest conference game the following week against Illinois in early October. So, as you can tell, the 5 most winnable games I have for Rutgers all occurred during the first half of the season. The second half, at Maryland, Northwestern, at Wisconsin, Michigan, Penn State, at Michigan State. Most of those games, Rutgers are going to be big-time underdogs. So you can't get to 6 wins. By the time you get to November, it's not going to happen at all. And by the way, Rutgers' second game of the year is at Ohio State. Chances are Rutgers is going to lose probably about 50 or 60 points. Wouldn't be surprised. The Scarlet Knights defensively have some nice parts, and at least they're changing things up offensively, but it won't be enough to get out of the Big Ten East cellar, in my opinion. I've got Rutgers finishing 7th. That's my look at the Scarlet Knights.